I go where I am known. I go where I'm not an illusion. Where I go, I've noticed. Everybody goes there. Everybody goes there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
first of all, I have to just say we have a huge following on air right now.
Oh,
Because of
awesome.
you, Teri. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Many of you remember and recognize the legendary Teri Knight, who's also been a dear friend of mine for years.
Yes.
Teri is, many of you remember her here in the market, both on television and radio, as the gal who kept us road ready on days like today, right, Teri? Yeah, how about this
Oh,
weather?
absolutely.
Yeah.
This and this is one of those times where traffic reporters would get so upset because black ice.
Yes.
Black ice really does happen when the temperature, and they would use it when it wasn't actually that. Anyway, so I am happy not to have to report traffic anymore. But I did enjoy it. I had a lot of.
Oh, did we?
We keep pausing here.
Yeah, your part keeps pausing, and I'm wondering, because mine isn't on my side. I'm wondering if it's your location. Do you have?
I don't know. Every time somebody makes a comment,
That's
it
when it
pauses.
pauses. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It does. That is interesting. On your and I want to say hello to Bill and thanks Jeff and Colleen. Hello from the tundra of Minnesota. And we'll just kind of see what happens here. Ooh, I think.
Well, and
yeah.
I just hit something. It said, "Is this useful?" And I hit no. It's not useful. So maybe that will stop the pausing. We'll
Oh,
see.
good.
I don't know.
Okay.
Something just popped up on the screen. So I've
Awesome.
never done this before. So I'm just impressed that this is actually working.
Well, and even better on a night like tonight, you guys, she's sitting at her home down in Northfield, and I'm at mine up in Maple Grove. And as much as I'd love to be sitting having a glass of wine with you in person,
Yes.
This worked out good tonight, and we will do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and as this big crowd was tuning in, we were starting to talk about, you know, the weather and how Teri used to do, she kept us road ready, and she was talking about black ice and how many people, well, all of you from Metro did not like the black ice, did you?
No, and what happens is that, you know, the exhaust from your car at an intersection or when you're going slow literally freezes on the road surface. And that's what black ice is. That's why at intersections it's so scary. But other reporters would use this when it was just regular ice. So we would have to try to school them. I'm sorry, but that's not what that is. So it's just kind of funny.
See, there is something to experience and expertise and having done this. And really in Minnesota, that is such a key. That black ice is huge.
It is. And it'll be big tomorrow. So everybody needs to be careful. And we just, the one good thing about this kind of weather, what I'm hoping for, and most gardeners are right now, is that it will kill some of the Japanese beetles. We can only hope.
Oh,
that would be huge. Those Japanese beetles are awful, and they were terrible last year. So this kind of weather could be really good for us in the long run. That's the silver lining. That's your sunshine for today.
I love the positive spin. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, before we get into Garden Bite, for those of you who are not have not been able to follow Teri, we're going to change that, number one. But Teri is the news director at 95.1 FM KYMN, right down in Northfield. Did I get that correct with some of the changes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And she also has a show that's in the Midwest, in Wisconsin. Is it North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa?
It's South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin,
and Minnesota.
And it's all of Minnesota. It's 29 radio stations, And Garden Bite is my 2-minute feature that runs Monday through Friday, 52 weeks a year. And it is distributed through a company called Learfield. So all of those radio stations get my Garden Bite. And then I also have it on, I have a web page, gardenbite.com. And also, of course, my Garden Bite Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff. And
that's awesome.
So I love it.
And those of you media people that are tuning in, because we have several of them on, Learfield bought, was it Metro? Oh, there's a little pause there. She'll be back, I think. Yeah. Did we lose you, Teri? We may have lost her.
I'm trying to reconnect.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, okay. So Minnesota News Network is who was bought by of Michigan and Missouri and a bunch of other states. They're a very large distributor of several different types of programming.
Ah, okay. That is cool. And yes, we are. A few people have noticed we are cutting in and out, or you're part of. I'm not sure why that is, but let's just keep rolling with it and see what we get. And because we do have a large crowd that has stayed with us, so
thank you.
And it'll pick up right where we left it. Yeah, thank you, everyone. So Garden Bite by Teri Knight was started as her avocation. You're a master gardener, and you have. In addition to being the news director down at 95.1, and I say down because it's Northfield, not too far from the cities, great town, a college town as well. But you've also been able to take your master gardening as your avocation and bring it into your vocation and your expertise all over the state of Minnesota, 29 radio stations in the Midwest as well, and other states close by. Let's talk a little bit about, I love your tagline, and I'm looking here. The garden is no place to stress for success, but to soak up some sun and renew your spirit.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's kind of
Thank you.
Tagline. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, what that means is my whole premise is to reach people that I call them the backyard to balcony gardeners, the weekend weed warriors, if you will. These are just regular folks that love to get out, enjoy being outdoors, dig in the soil. And let's face it, there are multiple studies on how important it is to be outside, be in nature, and really how much gardening and working in the soil is raises your happiness quotient.
Oh.
And I mean, these are scientific studies, and it really does. And to not stress for, like I say, I'm not a Martha Stewart, and I never want to be. It is more about just enjoying your time out there. And one of the things that people do is they, I had mentioned talking about some of the misconceptions.
Yes.
And one of those is that if a plant dies, oh, you must not be good at it. And that's so not true. And because plants die for a number of reasons. But the other thing is that it's okay. That's no big deal. Right. Okay, so a plant died, mourn and move on.
Right.
And don't let that stop you from enjoying yourself outside in nature. And I'm kind of a freak when it's springtime. I go out and it's like I will my plants to start coming up out of the ground. It's like, oh, I know there's a plant here. I know you can grow. Come on. So I just get excited about it, and I like sharing that with people, and I want them to enjoy it as much as I do.
Well, and I know I have appreciated over the years your expertise and guidance there, because you know that isn't my forte. So I am the one who will go to Wagner's Gardens or Gerton's or and buy the pots as is, but I love the flowers. Now, one thing you'd be very proud that I am the warrior of weeding in this home, which you haven't been to yet. Oh my gosh, every other week it takes me a couple hours, and I'm not a fan of weeds, but I used to hire it done, but I took your advice. I still haven't felt that I don't know, but maybe that bonding will come in the second year.
It might.
But
Yeah.
no, I do love to sit out on my patio with my flowers or the garden that I make and really just enjoy that. And it does something like you talk about, you know, for your soul and just, there's
It does.
just, yeah, and the energy. So I get that. So let's also, I know I was just checking to see if there's some questions from some of our people that were posting, and there isn't as of yet, but a lot of people are just more writing, "Hi Teri," those kind of comments. But misconceptions about backyard gardeners. Let's talk about a couple of those. I know we were touching on that already, but there's a lot of them.
Oh, well, there really is. And like I said, one of the biggest things is people think that if a plant dies, then they're not good at it. And I want to tell a little story about before I became a master gardener. There was a plant. I had been kind of planting plants willy-nilly here and there, and let's see what happens. Well, this one plant started to come up, and I thought it was a poppy, and it was beautiful. And I cultivated it. I kept the weeds away from it, and 2 months later, it bloomed, and it turned out to be a thistle.
Oh,
and I know that all the people out there that are gardeners are going, oh my God, seriously? Yes, it is a terrible weed. And I was cultivating.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anyway. But the point being that it doesn't matter if you have issues like that. Just get out there and try. One of the other misconceptions is how much to water plants. People drowned their plants so often.
I'm one.
Yeah, and because the automatic go-to is, oh, the plant's leaves are yellow. It needs water. Oh, the plant looks shriveled. It needs water. Oh, the plant looks sad. It needs water. And that's not necessarily true at all. If you want to do kind of a general rule of thumb, it would be an inch of water a week outside. And that's just a general. And you're better off to let plants dry out than to get them too wet. So that's a big misconception.
And is what temperature of water should it be? Can it be warm? Should it be cool? Hot?
The only thing you wouldn't want is the water to be super hot. So if your hose was laying out in 100-degree weather, no, that initial water coming out of there is going to be very hot. Okay. So you would say, no, let it run a little bit and then do it. But if it's cold, it doesn't matter. It's
okay.
We got another pause there first.
Yeah, we did. And, we've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Well, in a statement too. So Diana had made a statement, the thistle is a symbol of Scotland. And prior to that, she'd asked a question. Teri, what is your favorite healing plant? Good question.
Oh boy. There are really a lot, but for the garden right now, probably a lavender. And I say lavender because I love the smell.
Yeah.
We can grow Munstead lavender as a perennial out in our gardens here. And you can also grow it indoors. So as an overall healing plant, lavender would probably be my favorite. It is a calming plant.
Yeah.
So that's that's a great question.
Very good question.
Yeah.
Another good one was from Colleen Braun. She asked, what does it take to be a master gardener?
Well, it is, when I went in 2003, I don't believe it's changed, 48 hours of school through the University of Minnesota is where I went. Here we go again.
Yep. Sorry. I wonder what that is. Yep.
48 hours of schooling, and there are a number of classes that you have to take. Then it is 50 hours of community service for the first year, and that is within your county. And then 12 hours, depending on what county you're in, every year after that, or 12 or no, pardon me, 25 hours, and then another additional 12 hours every year of education. So check with your local county, and you can also do that online from the University of Minnesota. So if you're outstate, then you can get it through there.
Oh,
it's worth it. It's a blast.
Well, speaking of blasts from the past, a dear friend of mine who is on the board of the AWM with me, Christine Chicheris, she said, "Hi, Teri. Remember the days working together at W Light?"
Hello.
Yeah, Christine's one of the best of the best, like you, Teri.
Absolutely. She's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, how cool is that? Hi, Christine.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in, Christine. I knew having you on would draw a huge crowd. You're always a delight. You just have such a strong background in something that, well, right now where would be everybody being stuck in their home. It's nice to think about sunshine and spring and summer and fall, other than the winter, but which we know will be back again. But let's see, there was another. Oh, I know. So I'm going to segue a little bit away from Garden Bite, but you do quite a few speaking engagements, correct? I see you emceeing and talk about
I do. I do some emceeing here and there. In fact, I've got a gig coming up at the end of March, and it's called Believe It.
Oh.
And it's a fantastic organization. I'd like to give them a shout out. The man Sam Daly here in Northfield, he trains dogs for veterans that suffer from PTSD and a number of different things. And this organization trains these dogs and gives these dogs to veterans for free. So they're having a fundraiser March 29th down here in Northfield, and it's just a fabulous organization. So I do some of that.
Okay.
I also do garden speaking engagements, and I just recently put together a PowerPoint presentation on pollinators and plants and the different types of pollinators. Most people just think of bees, but there's a whole lot more. And so I put this together, and I'm available.
Oh, well, and we'll definitely have to talk in the spring or summer on bees and pollination and some of that would be a great segment outside, somewhere warm, in the sunshine. Now, a little bit back to the gardening piece, there's been some big changes. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in gardening?
There really are a few changes, and there's one that's about wound dressing. It paused a little bit.
Yeah, it's when people post a comment. I don't know why it's doing that, but yeah, go ahead. In fact, before we get into that, Diana had posted, what is the name of the vet organization that you had mentioned that you're speaking for?
It is called Believe It. So Believe It.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
And Google it. Thank you, Diana. Thank you very much, because it's a fabulous organization. In terms of the changes, one of them is wound dressing. Now, this is when we used to take cuts off of trees. So you're trimming a branch, then they used to put tar over it and things like that. Not anymore. Don't do that. Don't cut flush to the tree, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
And one of the biggest ones recently coming out is not tilling. We do not recommend tilling your garden anymore. And everybody kind of freaks out about that, because that's been every year you get out the little tiller. No, now we just put in compost. And what happens is, but what happens is when you till too much, you break down the soil structure, and it ends up compacting the soil and takes away the oxygen. You don't want to do that.
Great. No, thank you. And I am learning that when people are posting, that is when it is pausing. So, and it's never done that before, but as I shared with you, live streaming, no matter how much you plan for it, something, that's the nature of the beast of this. So, but yep, there we go again. But
yeah.
So another question I have to ask you,
Yes.
actually a couple, but wabi, is it wabi sabi? What is that?
Yes.
I see that in a lot of your stuff.
Wabi sabi is also part of my philosophy. And wabi sabi means imperfect beauty.
Oh.
And I absolutely love that because everybody worries so much about being perfect and looking this way, and their gardens looking this way, and their home is a certain way. Wabi sabi is imperfect beauty and encompasses so much. And I just love that because people can feel comfortable with it and enjoy that. So,
right.
wabi sabi.
Oh, I love that. You know, and us women specifically, I think we think like that a lot. We tend to go down that path and we forget, you know, we're so worried about, especially like even this, being on air. You know, I'm running home from an event, putting my makeup on and trying to, you know, and you're like, oh, I'm with Teri. I want to look good. And that kind of thing. And you realize, you know, it is what it is. Just be. And just enjoy the moment. And so that's really cool. I know you get tons and tons of questions. What are some of the, you know, the more common questions that some people maybe are thinking of right now?
Well, a lot of questions that I get is, why is this plant dying? And, let me count the ways. I mean, and that's one of the questions that I would tell people right now. If you do have those questions, and please feel free to email me as well. And that would be at tkgardenbite, B-I-T-E, @gmail.com. You can always email me your questions. I will get to you for sure. But you have to know the circumstances around why a plant is declining. And the vast majority of people don't think about those things. They say, well, it's got yellow leaves. Well, okay. Is it in the right is it in sunshade? Is it a sunshade plant? You know, where is it at? Have you watered it? Have you watered it too much? What kind of fertilizer have you used? Have you seen insects? There's just a myriad of other questions before we can get to that. And diagnostics is probably it's the most difficult thing to do, is trying to figure out what's going on with the plant, because it can be an accumulation of things, in particular for trees.
Right.
So that's one of the biggies. How do I get rid of rabbits? Well, short of a BB gun, which check your local city ordinances before you start doing that, is actually a product I really like, and I've had the most success with, and it's called Plant Skid, SKYDD. Okay. And I'll have that information. I can put that on my website as well, while it is there anyway. But that's a great product, and it is safe for children, safe for pets, and safe in your vegetable garden, because it acts as like a smell as a predator, so the rabbits will stay away. So that's a biggie. And how much water do I give my plants? That's a biggie. I had actually my niece, and she's going to kill me for saying this, calling her out on it, but my niece had planted some perennials that I suggested for her. And then I found out she was watering them every day. No, that's too much. No. So there's...
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then what are the easiest plants to grow? Well, there are actually quite a few of them. So it depends on your sunshade conditions. Hostas, come on, that's easy schmeezy. I have so many babies of my hostas, I give them away a lot. As far as easy care plants, there's an actual rose that's very easy care, and it's called carpet roses. Oh. And that's for sun. And those grow into nice size shrub, 3 to 4 feet tall. So There's a couple.
Good.
But those are really the most questions I get.
Oh, well, and those are common ones. They're questions that I've had. And I am that person who will actually, so I got lucky. The first year we were in Maple Grove and I had my little garden out back and of course some potted plants. They just grew and grew and grew. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to remember exactly how much water and do it just like that forever. Well, I had the exact same plants this year and a couple died. And I did the exact same thing. So, you know, it's just not having that knowledge and expertise. I actually got lucky.
Yes. And you have to gauge what the weather's like. There's differences with the weather. So like last year in particular, we had very heavy rainfalls. And that can drown plants.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that is a biggie is when you buy your plant, I want to give this tip to everybody.
Yeah.
When you buy a plant at a nursery, take it out, take a look at its root system. If the roots are circling and circling and circling, now it's not that you can't buy that plant, but if you do, then you have to take it out and cut. And I mean, be brutal when you're cutting those roots, because the last thing you want is circling roots, because it's literally going to strangle your plant.
Oh,
and if you have more questions about that, you just shoot them to me, and I'll even have pictures that I can send you, so you understand.
And we can put your email and website in the notes.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody, if you need to contact her, I've tagged 95.1 and Teri's shared this both to her personal pages, 95.1 and Garden Bite. You can message her through there. And
good job, Jeff.
Oh yeah, he was on it. Yeah. And Jeff, for those who don't know, is not only Teri's significant other, but he's also the owner of 95. Yes. And of course he has a show. I've been a guest on his show and down there as well. And talking about amazing human beings. We love our Jeff. Yeah.
Yes. And he's been in the Northfield community since 1987.
Oh.
So yes. So he's been here a long time, and he owns the station and I own by proxy. So.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Well, and his morning show. So.
And didn't you guys, when your first radio station you worked at was with Jeff, right?
Yes. It was my very first gig was at KYMN Radio in 1992.
Wow.
And I was there off and on for 2 years, and then went to the cities in 94.
Wow.
And and was on radio stations, and then WCCO TV from 96 to 2006.
Yes.
And then WLTV. So, yeah.
Oh, I remember. Yes. When I was at WCCO, you were there, and that was our first encounter. And it was nice to be reconnected, but it's been fun to watch your career, both when you were here in the Twin Cities and now back as a news director at 95.1 in KYMN in Northfield. And then also watching you I knew you always had this passion for gardening, and then you became this master gardener, and you created this show. It's Garden Bite with Teri Knight, for those of you who are just tuning in. And share again, you don't have to say the stations, but you're on 29 stations throughout Minnesota.
Yes.
And what other states?
Wisconsin. So I've got the northern portion of Wisconsin, the northern portion of Iowa, and the eastern portion of South Dakota.
Wonderful.
So, and then all of Minnesota. So it's really been great.
It's growing and growing.
Yeah. And I did have a TV show called Dig in Minnesota for one season. And that was on
CW.
The CW. Yes. In 2013. And that was a hoot. I love doing that too. So
well, you're such a pro, and for those of you watching, I had a conversation with Teri earlier in the week to get ready for this. And actually that was yesterday. Wow.
Yeah.
But we paused again because there we go. Okay, we're back. But in then our conversation, that I just so see you back on TV, and so we'll figure that out and doing something like this. Colleen had another question, and it said, "Thank you. Oh, so interesting. Thank you for sharing. She actually learned quite a bit and had fun. Thank you, Colleen. Yay!
Yay! Thank you. I love hearing that.
Yeah. And we had Kai Thorson. I wanted to do a shout out to you for.
Oh, Kai.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Kai.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
He is. And we've had several other, you'll see there was numerous comments, and then we've had a lot of people like it, and 8, of course, 8 shares. So we've been following, and we've had a really strong following through this whole show. Of course, it goes up and down, and I know it's cold out and things, but I would really, really love it if we could do another one at some point too, to talk, I mean, there's so much with gardening, and I love it, and I have so much to learn, and clearly the crowd here. So I'd love to have you back on again.
I'd love to. Thank you so much, Carla. And I have to say, you have been a wonderful friend to me for so many years, and you are such a professional and so polished, and I am honored that you asked me to be a part of this, and that I really am. Thank you so much, Carla. This is really cool. I really appreciate it.
Well, it goes both ways, because I feel the same way. You're making me cry, because I feel the same way. You've been that true friend through thick and thin. We've been through a lot together.
Yeah. And we won't talk about that.
No. And that's called life, and I do appreciate you sharing your journey and your story and what you could today on gardening. And thank you, Colleen, for saying that, and just being able to share. And it sounds like we've got a following here, so I think we need to do this co-host team for future shows.
I would love to. I'd love to. Thank you.
Well, and before we sign off, would you please again give people like either your website or how they can contact you?
Yes. All right. So my website is Garden Bite, and it's BITE.com. My Facebook is Garden Bite with Teri Knight, Instagram, all of that stuff, And my email is tkgardenbite@gmail.com. And I am very happy to answer all your questions. It makes me happy. And also, if you have suggestions for future Garden Bites, I mean, like I write those every week, and so please, if you have suggestions, I want to help you. So I'll research, I'll do those things, and you just let me know what you want to hear about.
Well, and if they want to listen to you on the radio, they can go to the website, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And they will find a listing of all of the different radio stations there. All my affiliates are listed on my website. And of course, you can always shoot me an email, and you can stream on kymnradio.net. Of course, it's streamed. So, and that's everywhere, obviously. And Garden Bite airs at 6:23 every morning. So there you go.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I know a lot of people from the cities would love to stream and listen to you. And that's such a great way to do it. So no, that's great. Well, gosh, I so appreciate you being a special guest on Around Town TV Live. And hey, we're staying in the cutting edge with the millennials. Yes. And actually, Di and I laugh about this a lot, Diana Pierce and I, because when we were starting both of our live shows, a lot of the younger kids, they weren't doing this, and they didn't know, they couldn't help. And of course, a lot of the senior veterans don't know. So her and I literally helped each other. And
that's awesome.
I wish that someone had been like secretly recording us, because you would have thought we had never done anything ever on TV, because it is really throwing to the wolves.
It is. It's different. And it was so funny because I'm getting prepared for this, and I'm thinking, so I'm setting it and as a matter of fact, right now, I have my phone sitting on a stack of about 8 books, and I've got the phone leaned up against, actually, it's a bottle of tequila. So I'm serious. I'm sorry, but I do. It just happened to be handy. I was like, okay, we got back from Mexico. What can I say?
Well, exactly.
But it's so funny because it's just so different, and I'm putting on different colors, and I'm like,
In radio, you don't have to do that.
I know.
Oh, Oh, no, you always look fab, my friend. And you know what? And even here on the other end, even though I have all the equipment, when you're doing it through your phone, I do have a little tripod, but that tripod, so I could be even with you, is on top of an empty Mickey Mouse ceramic cookie jar. And and I've got the notes that you had sent me. Oh, Diana thinks you should share the tequila. I agree. I think we should have a tequila party. And
it's the good stuff.
Yeah. It is the good bed. It's the good stuff. Oh my goodness. But no, so yeah, I've got the same thing going on here a little, so it doesn't matter. You're always improvising, aren't we, in this biz? So
yes.
But
yes.
Well, I know I've kept you a long time, but it's 7, we've been on for about 36 minutes, but I just want to say thank you. And to all of you that do like to watch Around Town TV and want to follow, you know how to follow Teri, and we will put that in the notes as well. But our show goes live 7 p.m. every Tuesday evening. Sometimes we'll do a rerun, but you can always join us, and please reach out to us as well if you have some thoughts or ideas that you'd like to, or people or organizations you'd like to be featured on Around Town TV. We are now the longest airing TV community showcase. We started our 17th year on air, and we've been featuring Minnesota's best kept people, secrets, and businesses since 2003. And Teri, you were there with me in the beginning, so thank you. Yeah. And thank you to all of you viewers. You rock for staying on this long. And it's not like you have anything else to do tonight, right?
Yeah, exactly. As they're huddled around their space heaters.
Exactly. Hopefully we were able to share some warmth with you. And I know Teri and I both appreciate you. And we hope that you stay tuned and continue to follow both of us separately. And hopefully we'll do some more shows together. So thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you next time on Around Town TV. Thank you again, Teri. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.